a song, or they're taking solace in someone relating to their personal situation, and they're listening to it and taking strength out of it, that I hope that it's working in a positive way. But of all my commercial, all my popular fun songs, this one is actually being listened to on a regular basis, maybe by the same people again and again, but it's working like therapy, I think. Many years ago I did a song called Bhool Ja, which was way back in the year 2000. And even then, of course, I wasn't aware of like Dr. Supri mentioned about the serotonin levels, and the chemical situations, and utna to pata nahi tha, lekin I just felt that why allow depression, or why allow sadness to dwell in your heart, when you can wash it with a happy with happy thoughts, like Dr. Hansaji was saying, that when this happens physically, just get yourself out of there, get yourself out of that spiral. Do something, keep yourself active. So मैंने वही गाना बनाया था, भूल जा जो हुआ उसे भूल जा, है कसम तुझे मुस्कुरा, खुद को यूं न दे तू सजा, उन यादों को तू भूल जा. And I realized that until then there was no song that actually positively told you to get out. There were songs that would further depress you. जब जब दिल ही टूट गया, right from the 30s, to if you listen to any of the sad songs, they would make you feel sadder. Now that's maybe a good way to face that sadness. Maybe even that makes sense. I don't know. Maybe this is more of an escape. Ke bhul ja jo hua. But a lot of people got back to me saying that that song helped them go through a breakup, helped them even go through a loss of someone very close and dear to them. So yes, I do believe that music can be your companion. Music can be your friend. Music can help you, come out of a situation. And which is why, to the youngsters and to everyone, we have to be very aware of the kind of music we are listening to. Even sonically, music is sound that can also cause pollution. We only look at pollution as, aaj, hawa mein itna pollution hai. But sonic pollution is also something that is very important. And our ears are involuntary organs. We keep listening to, we can't stop our ears from listening to what we have to listen to. So we should make sure that we are listening to music that is sonically pleasing, whether it's vocal or instrumental. It should not be harsh. It should not, kind of give us, many of us don't think about this, but it can cause, a dormant effect, a negative effect, if you're listening to the wrong kind of sonically wrong kind of music. It could be just not just the lyrics, but also the tune, also the sounds, the harshness of the frequencies. So we must listen to songs that are more pleasing to the ears, songs that are sonically beautiful, and I think that can keep us in a good space.
Thank you, Shan, for explaining the benefits of music therapy so elaborately, so nicely.
Thank you.
And give an example of a very nice song, Bhool Ja. Okay. Now, similar to music and art therapy, yoga is also long practiced in our country to ensure physical and mental well-being. And there is no better than Dr. Hansa on this forum to explain how effectively and important are practicing yoga for the management of mental health conditions. So I know that few of the points you already touched upon, but very specific points if you would like to touch upon briefly. So please, Dr. Hansaji.
You see, wherever we go, our breath is always with us. So whenever we become aware that mind is getting a little disturbed, one long inhalation, very slow, and long exhalation, very slow, can immediately help you out. A sound, which Shan was talking about, yoga talks a lot about it. In mantra, we repeat the mantra. You hold your breath, and now focus your mind on sound. Take it away from breath. Focus on sound. So, oh. This humming will go on. It can till your breath finishes. This itself is beautiful. Automatically, right hormones are secreted. We have observed that mind gets into alpha wave state automatically. Lots of researches we have done. The institute is 102 years old. I am not touching that. But all this. And this simple repeating Om quietly would work wonders. Long inhalation and first of all taking a long exhalation, putting your stomach in a bit and holding your breath, that would work wonders. Brahmari pranayama, just humming, would work wonders. So these things instantly relax our part. We in yoga talk a lot about food also. The technology of yoga, asanas to increase more circulation to head region, the spine remaining flexible. So all the nerves which are coming out of the spine, vertebral column, are free, relaxed. And so every muscle, every cell is receiving proper energy. Yoga talks a lot about energy. Person's energy, if it is high, person's depression slowly withers out. But when person is definitely in depression, let me again repeat, earlier also I said that when depression is there, person cannot do anything. He would be sitting in the corner and crying. So he needs some chemicals, definitely needs chemicals. But we have people, just medicine will not take them out of the education problem. They need education. How to deal with nonsense of the world, how to deal with comparison which people are doing, how to deal with people's statements that you are stupid, you can't do this and can't do that. It's their opinion. Why should I be bothered? Person has to become more educative in handling others' emotions. So this technology part of yoga, asanas, pranayams, and meditation. Good asanas to increase energy level of your body, this breathing technique, and the meditation. The mind, which is full of thoughts all the time, mind gets tired, Baba. Mind needs quietening. Just stop thinking. So here are some very strong techniques in yoga. Put your mind on one subject. So subject is sound. So here, just close your eyes, sit quietly in the corner and listen to the sounds which are there around you. Don't get involved with the sound. Varieties of sounds are there. Passing of the train, buses, people are talking here and there. Just listen to sound and see that the thinking automatically would quieten down. Simple technique. Watch your breath itself is a simple technique. Or listen to, listening is okay, sound is okay. Now see something in front of you, an object, a lotus, any flower in front of you. Just focus your mind on the details of the flowers, how many petals, this and that. So mind is doing one part, all the other thoughts would settle down. So these are few techniques. All the sensory organs are used. Again, yoga says that if the problem is there with you, solution is there with you only. You have all the solution within you. Use that and you will be able to manage the whole thing. So these are quite techniques. So many techniques are there. Meditation, I very strongly recommend that everybody should at least take out 10 minutes for himself, me time, and just sit quietly when you are going to bed. Before sleeping, just be quiet, close your eyes and just watch your breath. See that your mind is not having any thought or do anything. Or during day, do that. At office, how much you can help yourself when you are working in the office. When you are working in the office, one long breath, remembering and taking is not difficult. Or getting up from that seat, going to the window, seeing something very far from you because during day you are seeing things very close, computer all the time. Would help relaxing your optic nerves and your brain would function much better. Just half a minute going, seeing something far from the window outside. This awareness has to come. If I am sitting in one place, put my leg up and sit. I tell everybody on chair instead of hanging your legs down, bring your leg up and sit. One leg up or another leg up or both the legs up. That itself would help you. Your spine will have less pressure on the lower back. And so the kidneys, the liver, stomach, everything will function in a better way. As far as possible, straight spine, but not tight. All these things. Bending little, looking up very often because we are looking down all the time. So one breath, just look up, look at the ceiling and again work. Such things have to be introduced in the office. And I feel that in the free time, when they have recess, at least eating food time, that's the time, 5 minutes. If they could do something of these things, some teacher can come and teach them. And then, come on, do this. We have all the set here in the institute. And that itself works wonders, because then you form a habit of looking at yourself very often, which we don't have a habit of. Our whole intention is always in the outside world. Looking at yourself, respecting yourself, loving yourself. That has to happen. Then things would be beautiful.
Thank you, Dr. Hansaji, for having all wonderful techniques and tips, and especially when you talk about breathing. So usually when we do Omkar, we focus on breath, but not on sound. So definitely, I'll definitely put across the practice and see the impact. Thank you so much for enlightening us. As we know that as an healthcare profession, we have a huge role to play in encouraging patients
Yes.
to practice yoga and meditation along with taking medical treatment. So Dr. Mittal, along with yoga, meditation, music, and art therapy, which other adjunct therapies do you find useful in your practice, and which do you recommend?
Thank you, Kamlesh. I think this is a very interesting discussion, because what Hansaji has brought up are amazing techniques which all of us should use. And she's brought up techniques which can be taught by every healthcare practitioner. Very simple techniques. And Hansaji, thank you for actually rebuilding my confidence in this, because we use it all the time. Change of posture, breathing, just experiencing that. And you can give it a name, mindfulness, but it's there as a yogic technique. Being aware of the sounds. I'll give you a couple of incidents. Once this is about 2 decades back, I was, on a flight to Mumbai, and I was at the Delhi airport. Sitting, I reached there, it was winter. When in Delhi, there is a fog and the flights are delayed. It's a chaos. And I had to reach for a very important meeting. It was so packed, there was no place to sit. The airport was under renovation, and I was really anxious. But of course, there's nothing I can do, because the flight will take off only when it will take off. And it was frantic. And so I can't do anything. And I was talking to myself, trying to self-talk, positive talk. Hey, hold on. You can't go before the flight takes off.
Correct.
But then something happened, and I was trying to look for a chair to sit. And I found this, and this is true. I experienced it. A monk was sitting on he had his eyes closed. He was sitting on a chair. And thankfully for me, somebody, in order not to disturb him, had left the chair next to him, vacant. So I very quietly went and sat there. I closed my eyes just like the monk had. And I sat there listening to the sounds, Hansaji, what you said. The din of at the airport. And as I concentrated, it grew louder in my ears. I could focus on each and everything, the announcements, the sounds. And it took 10 minutes, my heart rate came down, my anxiety just vanished. And then what happened? Well, I opened my eyes, the monk had gone. So he came in like a karmic entry for me, that he came and, I learned something at that moment. But the fact is that everything just vanished. All the anxiety, the pressure just vanished. And I'm sure had I measured my blood pressure, it would have been high at that time, but it all would have settled. So this change on posture, the ligaments relaxing, the body undergoing a change, the circulation undergoing a change is so important. If you look at children, they never have cervical problems, because their world is higher up. They're looking at reaching out, picking up things. But as adults, for our convenience, we put our world down. And therefore we get all these spinal problems. Today morning I got up and I had a very stiff spine. So first thing I did was 20 minutes of spinal exercises. Otherwise, my day was just, it was destroyed from the first step itself. So small things, mindfulness, breathing, like she said, and other techniques. And of course, in adjunct therapies are so many that can be practiced. Yoga is one, art therapy is one, music is amazing. At our center, we have music every morning. It's been there for the last 3 decades. And there are other people in the neighborhood who come and join. They also want a good start to their day. We have had art therapy. Artists have come and donated their time, and we put up exhibitions, and we could track, actually, even patients with schizophrenia, their improvement with the change in their art and the colors that they used. People with depression, the colors that they used. And then, of course, you help them while they're painting, they're drawing, the recreational thing, the neurocognitive changes that they undergo, and so on and so forth. Group therapies. psychotherapy, which is a additional part of every psychiatric practice. Self-help groups, whether they are for psychiatric disorders, OCD, or for schizophrenia, for depression, we have very active groups, but also for even problems of living. I mean, where do I go as a colleague? I talk to my peers. That's my support group. So I need to speak, I need to understand. And the moment I speak and put the things out in objective space, I can reshape it myself to be able to see, to be able to objectively, and then work around it. So these are the sort of tools that are available. The World Mental Health Report, which came out this year, after 21 years, the last was 2001. And if I was to bring out the nichod from that, there are 4 words which come out for mental health. And the first one is connect. Connect. Connect to persons, connect to family, connect to people, connect to your peers, connect to your juniors, connect to your seniors, connect to processes, connect to your environment, connect to nature, connect to music, connect to art. And then the second one is function. When you connect, you can function better. And once you're connected and you're functioning better, the third word is cope. You can cope better.
Cope.
And once you are connected, you can function, you can cope, you thrive. So connect, function, cope, and thrive. That's what we need to do. And the mantra that's where we have at our place is we call it Man Ki Unnati. Man Ki Unnati to Har Jan Ki Unnati. So if we can work on our own minds and we can have that. So it is so important. But in adjunct, coming back to the question of adjunct therapy, is nutrition, diet. It's so important. I mean, we have nutraceuticals as a pharmaceutical component, huge market, but diet and the nutritional psychiatry is today being researched. Ayurveda and yoga has always spoken about it. Every culture speaks about it. What you eat, what you become. We talk today of the gut biome and how it's the bacteria in my intestines that control my brain, my moods, but I can alter it by what I eat. So nutrition as an adjunct therapy, diet. So, I'll tell you from my personal experience, what we do is we have had people go out and play tennis, and one of the therapists go and play tennis with the person because that's what the patient was good at. We have had people go on bicycling. We have had people, group therapy being run in a park where people meet, they go for a jog and the therapist works with them. And it works. Yoga has been there for decades, every morning, and actually people look forward to it. I have my staff who come and join the yoga instructor who comes there. So these are one adjunct therapy. And in today's scenario, the other adjunct therapies arise from the digital technologies. You don't necessarily require any one of us there. You can have apps you can download, and the younger people relate to it so quickly. You have apps for your diet. You have virtual coaches, you have people who have face-to-face connect. I have a cousin who's from 100 some kgs come down to 65 kilograms. We were using an app. So it's tremendous. So you can have, as a healthcare practitioner, it's my responsibility to guide my patient, firstly, to other adjunct therapies, not just the pill, whether it's for depression, anxiety, or for anything else, or for sleep. I often say this. A husband and wife have a tiff, and the wife comes, I've got a headache and I can't sleep, and I give her a sleeping pill. Have I solved the problem? You need to work on the relationship. You need to work on her coping. You need to work on so many other aspects. And like what Dr. Supriya said, yes, there will be thresholds. And then you have because everything that happens outside produces neurochemical, physiological changes. Some things we can correct, some things we can't. And then we require other treatment modalities, pharmacotherapy, other forms of therapy. And we also know this, psychotherapy also works by producing psychophysiological changes. Yoga works by psychophysiological changes. So it's all connected. And let's stay connected on this. And yes, I think it's also the responsibility of every healthcare practitioner to screen every patient who comes to them for the presence of any mental disorder. I think it's extremely important. So adjunct therapies are not really adjunct. Music is the food and soul of life. Yoga is the connect to your own self and to the environment, and to, if you believe in God, if you don't, connect to nature or you connect to God. That is a yoga. That is the joining. And whether it is through Raj Yoga or Hatha Yoga or Bhakti Yoga or Gyan Yoga, but you join. And that's where you actually thrive. So connect, function, cope, and thrive. Man ki unnati.
Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sunil. Now we are lagging behind for the time. So I'll just take few questions because most of the questions I see with a lot of pouring all questions, and I can see all the questions related to compliance and gym therapy and even yoga techniques, everything I think nicely covered. So I don't think so we need to go it again, but a few questions which is already I would like to take it up. So this is a question to Dr. Supriya or Dr. Mittal can also talk about that. A question from Mr. Prasad Rao. How do you ensure compliance with the therapy in your patient?
Supriya, please.
One of the most important things for compliance is whether you have a good rapport with the patient. So when the first time the patient walks in, it's very important to spend that extra time so that the patient is able to understand what you're trying to say and whether he's able to accept the model of the mental illness that you tell the patient. Many a times, if you don't spend that extra time in the first consultation, they fail to understand why they need to take treatment and then they stop it prematurely. Second thing is to always have a family member on board who understands the problem and is willing to be a team player and able to at least supervise whether the medications or the adjuvant therapy is being applied. And then I always write the next follow-up date at the end of my prescription. So that is my extra technique of telling them that this is the date that you need to come. Because many times they say that you wait for 1 month and then that meant that you stop after that. So
okay. Great. So there is very specific question to Shan. Which genre of music do you think is the most useful for music therapy? Does tempo of music have an effect?
Definitely, there's a research on tempo. When you talk about like a 60 beats per minute, BPM. So 60 beats per minute is literally the pulse. It's literally a second. So that is when you're on the most relaxed. You can actually, if you want to create music that should put you in a very, very dormant stage, like literally put you to sleep. 60 is the tempo. You raise it to 120, you raise it to 100, is when you get a little active. 120 is a tempo that actually gets you much more sort of excitable. So a lot of different genres of music are actually defined by their tempos. Not in India so much, but a lot of international genres are like that. So, when it comes to dance music, 128, somehow they have locked on to this tempo, 128. If you look at any of the EDM music, electronic dance music, it's all at 128. So they play with 128, they go half, which is, they go to a 60 and they bring it back to 128. They go into a triplet. But anything beyond that can get, your heart racing much more. So you don't want to last on a higher tempo, more than 128. But there are other genres that, create music at a higher tempo. So this is actually not just musical, but it's also researched through science. And yes, tempo does make a difference in how much you want to get excited or how much you want to be relaxed in music. And of course, it's not just the tempo, but that is also one of the manyest, that they work on. Yeah.
Thank you, Shan. So Amitabh, should we continue the question answer, or is it okay if I hand over to you for concluding remarks and vote of thanks?
Yeah, I think we should, because the number of the question which we have got, it won't be possible to take them all.
Correct.
And I think, I just want to, thank you to all of you, because already more than 3,000, doctors have logged in. And probably as far as my knowledge goes, this is the biggest, webinar which we have got. So I would like to thank all of you from the core of my heart and on the behalf of the Lupin, because see, there is no better word. I always say there is no better word than the thank you. So obviously I have to use that word only. And this webinar has been, I think it has been very enriching, not for all of us who are in the parts of, webinar, but also across the, 3,000 doctors. And this has actually given a lot of awareness. I believe, Dr. Hansa, Dr. Mittal, Dr. Supriya, Shan, and everybody has talked. I'll just like to, highlight one thing. This gives awareness and go to the basic, because even in our culture, they say that, Sahitya Sangit Kala Vihina Sakshat Pasupaksh Vishan Hina Pranam Nakhadanapi Devamana Tad Bhagadheyam Param Pashunama. I mean, there cannot be the better word than, signifying the value of the music. They say ki, if the human being, if the person is not knowing any literature or music, he's just like, the pashu, animal. And man should be very, and a human should be very happy because they don't eat grass. Otherwise, if this time of the people would have been eating grass, the animals would have been going to the starvation. So, I mean, there cannot be the better word, this could have been, identified. And yoga, of course, it's not a twisting and turning of the body. It's beyond that, what Dr. Hansa has already said it. So thank you, everybody. It's to giving you a perspective and, being a part of, in a way, a campaign run by Lupin to Say Yes to Life. So I would like to thank you, all of you. I would especially once again like to thank Dr. Mittal, Dr. Supriya, Shan, Dr. Hansa, and each and every one of you. I would also like to thank you, my team, the Harshul, who had been a part of it, whole Lupin team, sales, marketing team. My people have worked very, very hard to, bring, this 3,000 plus people. And I'd also like to thank you, Vishal sir, Sibbal sir, everybody. And at last, I would like to thank, God, because without his blessing, nothing would have been possible. Last but not
Amitabh,
least,
just I
thank you
would
a
like
lot,
to add
Dr.
on.
Kamlesh. Yes, sir, sorry.
Amitabh, just I would like to add on, I think this session has been one of the most wonderful session I have ever attended. And thanks to, the panelists, for bringing every, aspect of mental health, in front. Thanks, Dr. Mittal. You always have been a very, very, guiding force for us. And thanks for identifying, thanks for telling us, how big is the mental health problem. Thanks for telling us that what are the signs and symptoms. And then also talking about some techniques which Hansaji talked about. And thanks, Dr. Supriya Pathak, for you also, who talked about identifying the symptoms in the young and adolescence age. We all know in adolescence age how to handle. We all have kids, who are of that age. We know how difficult it is to handle them. And you talked about the threshold. Shan, thanks for bringing your problem in the forefront and talking about that, how you dealt with that problem. And Hansaji, you have been a new find for us.
Yeah.
I'm really telling you, it has been so much. It is a music to ears, when we listen to you. And I think the take-home message from you is, whenever you feel low, just body should take over and you do something so that you come out of that. Dr. Mittal, I just wanted to ask you, should we, because you as psychiatrists, you talk about those techniques, but do you think that we should do some such yoga session for psychiatrists across the countries?
I think you should. Unless we look after our mental health or health as such, or ourselves as such, our being as such. I mean, I can only give somebody what I have in my pocket. If I don't have it, how can I give it to somebody else?
Absolutely.
I need to be sound inside.
And some of the psychiatrists I can name, but they treat their patient, but they send them to the yoga institute. They say, go or Hansaji go below. Then the treatment is permanent. Otherwise, it becomes temporary and people leave the medicines and go away also. So this
Hansaji, we would like to have your services even in our corporate office also.
We
Our
can
team will reach out to
definitely.
you. What you talk about, in the lunchtime, in office times, everybody can get benefit, whatever little techniques you talked about.
Yes.
So thanks once again. It was wonderful session. Thanks once again to all the panelists. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, thank you, Dr. Kamlesh, who has been
Of
very,
course.
very helpful. Thank you. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Goodbye and take care. See you again.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful.
We are offline now, sir. We are off to the
Okay. We are
audience now.
offline.